Hey guys, it is Tristan with nerdettes-newsstand, and we are going to start off this month, this super spooky month, by talking about one of the better Superman scary books. Now, I will be going over some of my favorite horror comics this month, and we will also be doing a live stream specifically on horror comics, but we're going to start and go all the way back to Superman 180, and that is where we see Superman vs. Dracula. Now, this is a great story. This is very simplistic. It is done by Jeff Loeb and Jeff Johns. It is wonderfully illustrated, and I really enjoy Ian Churchill, how he does. Really, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna go to some toxic femininity here. I love the muscular Clark. I love the way that Lois looks. I love all of it. It's great. So basically what we see is an interaction where Lois is doing the narration, and she is telling us about why they are headed to this castle. They do not know it is Dracula, but in a sense, I think it was pretty obvious. And I love the way that we have the greeting, the old gentleman greeting, adorable. I love it. And a lot of the coloring in this is very cool. It's a lot of very muted colors, but of course they use that red to pop it out, which is always an awesome aesthetic. Generally, it's an awesome aesthetic. Sometimes it can go overboard, but it didn't in this case. So now we see Lois talking about what is going on in the world. Now, there's some different continuity with this. Zod is a little bit different, but it really doesn't matter to the story. And we see Lois get kind of whisked away, or drawn away is a better way to put it, and head off out in the middle of the night through the woods. Now, she's not going to remember any of this, but she's drawn to a voice and she doesn't know why. Of course, we have Superman to save the day. As you will notice, he has the black in his actual Superman symbol, which I think looks great, but I like the white better. But there is a continuity reason for him having the black. It was to honor some fallen people, so I get it. I like it a lot. But the way that these werewolves, or yeah, I guess they're werewolves, are drawn are amazing. I like it. And we see a great action sequence between this, and only come to find out that Superman, of course, saves Lois, right? A pretty typical story. Damsel in distress, big hunky man saves the day, and she doesn't remember any of it. Kind of not your typical damsel in distress story, but even so, they head out to dinner. Lois has an opportunity to interview this man, find out what happened with Zod, and that's what she's there for. We even have Jimmy in the background kind of piping along. I like Jimmy in this. I like that he's back, because a lot of what we've seen lately, of course, Superman has been on Warworld, but even before that, Jimmy needs some more love. Come on. Jimmy's such a great asset sometimes, and even if it's just for comedic relief, he does a good job. So we see this little interview, and we see Jimmy getting seduced, so to speak, by the lady that is with Dracula. And it doesn't really work, but we see Clark realize what's going on. He actually does so by looking at the wine and realizing that it's human blood, tries to warn Lois, and she just brushes him off, right? She brushes him off because she thinks he's crazy, or she's under some sort of spell that, Dracula is putting out there. Now, that spell quickly changes, and that spell changes right over to Clark, and he is the one now drawn to Dracula. And this is where it gets really interesting, and I love this idea, because we see Dracula saying, "You will live forever. Join me in my army against Zod," to be blown up. Because in essence, what we're seeing is that Superman, while collecting, the yellow sun, is what powers him. While he is doing this, he basically becomes a beacon of light. He's filled with yellow sunlight And if you know anything about vampires, they really don't mix well. And he becomes toast. Literally on the floor in dust is the best way to put it. And of course, Jimmy gets out of it, even though he didn't get laid. Like, I'm sorry, Jimmy, you're a cool guy, but you're generally not the type to get laid in that type of story. It's gonna be Superman, but he does get away from the Crimson Lady. Now, this kind of leads to the very last page. And on the very last page, neither one of Lois or Clark remember what happened while they were under the spell, and Jimmy's a little tuckered out. Poor little guy. He's a little tuckered out, right? But we actually see all of these monsters coming out. And we've got the werewolf, we've got everything here. And it leads into future stuff. But in a nutshell, this is one simple issue that is obviously, we're going into Halloween. It's not scary. There's nothing scary about this. But it's a great action adventure comic where we see Superman being Superman, fighting the bad guy, right? Winning, but using his own way to win. The best thing about this is the way he accidentally, unbeknownst to himself, figured out how to defeat Dracula. I absolutely love it. Make sure you guys check this out. It's super old, but it's a fun one for the holiday season. Not holiday season, Halloween season. There we go. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.